board meeting Wednesday. Beyond the boardroom. Beyond the boardroom.
All right, guys, excited to kick off another episode of Board Meeting Wednesday. I'm here with Matt Pridemore. How are we doing today, Matt?
Doing well, Brad. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Cannot complain. Another day in paradise.
Perfect.
I'm excited to dive in with you today. I want to give our guests a little context, right? Guys, we do two-part podcast shows. And Matt connected with Russ at High Point and went through the top 3 SaaS platforms that he uses in his business. I got a chance to listen to it. So Matt, it's great to hear, about Dispatch and Podium, and we love the shout out Form Piper. Very much appreciated. But you could tell that one, you're doing big things in the business, right? You've been in furniture for your entire life. And I've turned that into not only a huge business in retail, but also a training business. And so hearing your story and hearing how technology really kind of pulled it all together was huge for me. And what I like to do is one, meet with retailers and understand how tech is changing and how that landscape is changing in business. And then I love to dive in after that and figure out, well, what's your reason why, right? Like you got out here, you have all these locations, you've gone through these trials and tribulations. You're working with all of these people, and that happens because we set goals and we have a very, very constructed reason why. We don't accidentally arrive, in the place where you've gotten. So in this episode, what we'd love to do is just dive in and figure out, one, how are you setting goals? And then I really want to hop into your training academy and talk about goal setting there as well. But let's start with you. So when you're looking at what you've accomplished and the future path that you have, how do you really document your reason why? And how do you think about it on a daily basis? Like, how are you getting to the point where you are?
Yeah, I like to break it down into bite-sized chunks and bite-sized pieces. I think, yes, it's imperative to have the 1, the 3, the 5-year plans, all those things. But for me, especially at this stage, for anybody that's heard my story over the past 24 months, it got down, starting July 2024, when my world got rocked from a corporate perspective, it literally became a day-by-day thing of, all right, what's tomorrow's goal? What's the next day's goal? And making sure that I'm staying a day ahead of it. And then to a point where I could build that from being a day ahead of it to a week ahead of it, and then to a month ahead of it. And, I think I'm probably about that 3-month mark right now, but every day is just that bite-sized chunk. And that probably comes from the way that we pull in content right now. I think, you would probably agree with me that TikTok is one of those big mediums right now. Everybody's watching TikTok and doing those things, and it's in bite-sized chunks. And training is the same way for me. We like to train in bite-sized chunks. We like to have goals in bite-sized chunks. Everything is that micro piece. And from a why perspective, has just become of using the processes to build the people. And I've watched too many times where business owners have used the people to build the processes. Not, for me, I just wanted it to kind of flip on its head there, kind of judo chop type deal.
That's the way I look at it too, right? So if you have your macro goal, you got to back into it. Like, so I use a construct where I'm looking at a long-term goal. What can I do over the next 12 weeks to move closer to it? And then ultimately, what are all the actions I need to do? So I'm a very list-driven person, right? I got everything documented. I figure out who's going to do the actions on the list, time block it, and really move through it. But it all boils down to like that next bite-sized action, right? You can't obtain a large goal without combining a lot of actions repetitively over and over and over and over again. And when you're trying to work with other people to do it, being able to break down any aspect of, say, business or personal goal into bite-sized chunks is like a home run. So you're talking about, in the last 2 years, you obviously had to have, it was almost like a unique goal set, right? Hey, there's this curveball. I have to fix this problem and I got to fix it today, right? And what can I do today? It's pushed day by day by day. When you're looking at, like, say, outside of that work and outside of that ethos, right? Because you did that for a reason, right? Like a lot of, your family history in the business, you understand the model, you were hit with the challenge and you had the late nights, you got in, you grinded. I mean, what you accomplished, I don't even know how you did it, to be honest, because I ran 4 locations and I had late nights and I couldn't imagine having to pivot the way you pivoted. So when you're looking at that big goal in life, it seems like you've accomplished a lot of them along the way too. How are you looking at those the same way when you pick a lifetime goal or a goal that you want to accomplish in 5 years? How are you personally focusing on it to make sure that you're taking action on it today?
Yeah, I think like you said, backing into it is a big piece of it, but making sure that the processes are built day by day. So yes, at the end of the day, in 10 years, I do want to, I want to have the training aspect from HFA Sales Academy, and I want to have the hometown furniture aspect from the retail side of it. But I want to have these, for one, at different streams of income. Yes, we all want to make money, but building the people along with it. And from my biggest thing is the why. From a why perspective, is literally the people that are around me. There are so many people that have given their hearts, their souls, their minds to making sure that all of these pieces succeed at a high level. And those are the people that I want to be around. Those are the people that I want to help mentor. I've got my mentors that I've looked up to, and they've taught me, what I feel the right way to do these things are. But my why really are the people that are around me, and to help them achieve their goals and their dreams as well. And to the issue that I think today is we are in such an automated world that so many business owners get so fixated on creating the path for themselves that they're not really creating that path for the people that are around them that are on their teams. And I look at this as the people that are around me are also customers. And when we'll dive into training for just a moment, but for me, when a customer walks in my store, if I don't create a path for them, they're going to create their own path because they don't know how else to create that path. And the same can be said for the team members that are around me. They haven't had the same experiences that I've had. They don't have that windshield there, but I have. And my hopes, my dreams, my goals are to make sure that I'm helping create their path, based on, I like to constantly interview those people to know what their dreams are, what their goals are, and then help create that roadmap to get them there, because they haven't had the experiences. So how else would they know to create a roadmap? How else can they know what's going to take them to that goal for themselves? And I think in helping them achieve their goals helps me achieve my goals.
I can. It's such a great answer. Like it's just the thought process and the way you think about it. I think there's a quote, where people say, "Hey, what's your favorite place?" And it's like I don't have a favorite place. I have favorite people, right? And as long as I'm with my people, every place is great. I feel like I kind of live in that ethos. And when I think of it, when you're in the family business, right? As long as you are, right, you're looking out for people in your business a little differently. And as much as you don't necessarily want business and family to kind of mix, right? It feels like a family, like just because if you're working with your family all the time, you're working with people all the time. You want to spend time with those people. You want to be around motivated people that are driven, and you want to help them obtain and reach their goals. And just being in that environment for me, it makes it where it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
Right? We're not working. We're hanging out. We all like each other. We have goals. We're going to identify challenges. We're going to try to go conquer those challenges. We're going to get kicked in the face sometimes. And sometimes we're going to win together. And ultimately, how do we all win, in the future that we have individually, right? Everybody's got different goals.
Right.
And so it's really important, I think, from an aspect when you're a leader is to learn what somebody else, because they're not the same as your goals, right? And a lot of times I think we think, well, everybody's just like me, right? Like they know everything that I know. They learn through osmosis. You mentioned like creating that path and being able to work with your team. Well, they don't know everything that you know. And so you got to teach them kind of how to create the right path, right? So they can obtain and become the person they're trying to become. So I love to hear that you have that same type of mindset. So um, transition that because I love how you took your business and then you created your training platform for your business, right? There was a challenge in the market. COVID created an obstacle. How do I teach my people? Well, I'm going to create this resource learning center. And you got all these great videos in there. And then now you've taken that out into the industry, and anyone in the industry can obtain that training and drive success in it. So when you're like scaling out from just your ethos, right? And you're going in and
Mhm.
you're working with other people's businesses, in your training, do you bring any of that type of goal setting or that path creation to that, or do you keep it very focused in the furniture? Like, how do you approach that outside of yours?
Yeah. Well, we've got different segments within the HFA Sales Academy that we've put in there that do specifically speak to the management side of things or the logistics side of things. And with that, yes, we get all that information right in there. But the reason that we did that type thing is, as I talked to a bunch of furniture retailers, they were looking at this whole thing of, well, I've got sales associates that aren't trained, and I want to get them trained. And it was like a not trained to train type deal. But what I was trying to explain to them is, it's not just about not being trained to being trained. There are different levels to that training. So if somebody comes on and watches a video or gets coached, they're not just going to go from, I've got 7 different levels I talk about all the time, 7 different levels of learning. And the very bottom level of that is ignorance. So if there's something you've never heard of before in your life and I speak to you about it, that's not just going to make you a master of that. Just because I trained you on it, you're not just automatically a master. So there's all these different levels to get you towards being a master of it. But so many business owners that I talk to are like, all right, you come in and train our guys for an hour or 2 hours, and then we're going to be good. And that's just not the case. And so, getting them from ignorance to awareness, and from awareness to familiarity, like there really are these levels. And I talk about it all the time in my training. Obviously, I've got the background in baseball, and we've talked about that on several podcasts. But, if I go in and talk to somebody about an infield fly rule in baseball, and I explain that to them, they're not going to be able to walk out on a Major League Baseball field and be able to talk about that infield fly rule or to enact it. There's so much more training to get you there. In the same sense, if I come in and teach you about the sales processes and I talk to you about the greet, well, then you're not totally trained. And so that's really, from a management perspective, we wanted to get you from ignorance to awareness to familiarity to being able to recall what that process is, to be, even a higher level would be to be able to explain that process to somebody else, and then to mastery. Like, there's all these levels. But there are so many people in the training world that are just thinking, well, I wasn't trained and now I am trained, so I'm good, so I can go on a sales floor. And that's just not the case.
No, I love it just it hits home for me. I remember my beginning days of I started off as, say, the GM, and I'm teaching and training, and I would just train the guys one time, like I showed you how to do the presentation, you got it, and then that's it. And I would just hope and pray that they would say it right. I didn't even want to listen to them say it again, because I didn't want to have to retrain them, because that would be an uncomfortable conversation, right? So that's me being down in that ignorance level around training, like just not understanding how to create the scope. And then once you start to have the tough conversations, you can learn, you can build the content, you build the layers, because it takes consistent actions day in and day out to learn something, to be able to be a professional in it. I think in taking that outside of work, if I'm a person and I have a goal and I want to be good at golf, or, like right now I'm back in bowling and I'm doing my bowling leagues. Well, I'm not very good, and it frustrates me that I
Right.
cannot execute for my team on a consistent basis. So I'm taking lessons, and I'm learning that I'm doing everything wrong, right? And so I had an assumption, because I learned one time when I was 13 how to bowl, right, that now I'm this expert and I'm going to be over here bowling 200s, and I'm having to put in reps to change everything about the way I throw a ball. And it's not natural, but I'm going to get it done because I have a goal, right? Like, I want to be here at this level. I want to participate and hang out with my team, and I want to be good for my team. And I've got to put in those actions. And I'm not going to get to just listen to one video on YouTube on how to be a bowler and be awesome, right? So it's the same concept in really in everything that we're doing, right? Doesn't
Everything in
matter the
life.
goal. You got to put the
Right.
reps in. You got to go after it. So, um, so when you're looking back, let's hop back over to you right now. Like, you've accomplished so much. What would you say top 3 goals right now? And it could be long term or short term, but what's 3 big things you're focusing on?
Uh, Obviously, well, for me, it is going, even within my stores, is that we've got to get back to the basics with training. I think that the big goal for me is that I want every single one of our sales associates and managers to be at a mastery level within the furniture world. And, I've got some that are at that familiarity range. I've got some that have been with me long term, but the world of furniture has changed so much that I want them to understand the merchandising side. I want them to understand the marketing side. I want them to understand AI. And so there's, all these different pieces that are all coming together. So that's a big major goal of, from a training perspective, to have everybody on the team at a mastery level. I want a bunch of black belts on my team right now, but that just takes time. But that's probably a year and a half goal of just, pounding out that true training of getting people to be from reactive to proactive, of being able to introduce new concepts in furniture, to understanding upselling, like all those different pieces. So having everybody on my team as a black belt is a major goal of mine.
How
And I
long,
think
before you hop to it, how long do you think it takes for somebody to go through your training to get the black belt?
if there were number one, it takes consistency. If they are working on it every single day, I'd say if they go through our training, that's going to get them from ignorance to awareness to familiarity. And then if they're able to take that out to the to the floor, that's going to take them from familiarity to recall to explanation. That's a 6-month process. I think it takes 6 months to get from ignorance to explanation, and it takes another 6 months to go from that brown belt to the black belt, from being able to explain it to being basically a master of it. And so I'd say within about a year, it's going to take you between your training online to take that offline to get you to a black belt. We could do it in a year.
I'm curious, do you actually have a belt system? Do people get the belts as they're going through?
We haven't put that into the HFA Sales Academy, but I would love to actually make that a part of it. It kind of came to me while I'm talking about it, and I'm like, dude, we should do that. So
The
your
reason I
thoughts
asked,
have created value. Yeah.
my buddy Phil, we actually shot an episode. I'll shoot you the link so you can meet him. He's actually a black belt and owns gyms, and he's actually, I think he's got about 1,000 plus members in his gyms now, and he's developed. I'm ballparking this number, so it'd be mad at me if I get it wrong, but I think about 20 personal black belts that he's developed. And it takes about 8 years to become a black belt, in jujitsu. So on average, right? And
I'd
that's
like to
with
know how
consistent.
often I'd like to look that up. I've got a friend in jujitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu as well. And he actually just earned his purple belt. And we were talking about that. He's been at it for 4 years and has just gotten his purple belt. And, I'd like to ask and see how often they are training to get, for it to take that 8 out, that 8 years. That'd be, that'd be
Yeah, be
interesting.
interesting. I bet you it's at least 3 times a week minimum, right? With side work every day. You're
Makes sense.
always working through motions.
I've
Because you
always
got to be
heard
a master.
10,000 hours, but I don't know. I guess we need to look up. So I guess if they're working 40 hours a week, that's 160 hours a month. Would be what, 1,500 a year. Yeah, I guess 8 years, makes about, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that'd be
that's
about
what he
10,000
calculates
hours.
his. I started training with him in the beginning. Unfortunately, I did not stick with it. I went and tried to get my black belt in business. And it's funny, in my franchise, they actually awarded me with a brown belt at one point because I was training everybody and built that whole training ecosystem. And then when I actually executed and expanded into 4 stores, sold some stores, I got my black belt. So I actually have a plaque with the black belt on it. So I
That's
kid around with him
awesome.
all the time. Like, I went out and got my own black belt. I know you can still whoop up on me, but hey, look, we both got black belts, right? So,
That is awesome, dude. That's really cool.
all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, the black belt took me off on a
Off on a
tangent there.
tangent. I like it. I like it.
All right. So what's number two? What else we got? What's the big goals right now?
I think big goals is growth, obviously, because we're going to be considered a startup for the next couple of years, and we started this thing September of 2024. We got it rolling, but I think from a growth perspective, I'd like to be at 100 million in the next 5 years. And that's what I've got up on my wall behind us is being there. But to have I think if we've got enough black belts that can create the right people to get to that $100 million goal. But I think the funny part about this kind of a second journey is, obviously, I had 16 stores of my own within the Badcock realm, and I think going back and looking there, I tried to go too wide, and tried to go into to too many different things all at once, and I've got to go deeper. And so that's a big goal with me is going deeper. Staying with number 2 there is going deeper with this, sticking with that, with that growth. But from one other top 3 for me is to kind of a micro goal, but I tend to hop around too many different things. My big goal for me right now is to make sure that I'm sticking with plans, sticking with projects, and not hopping. I think as CEOs we have to wear so many different hats all at once. But I'd love to hear from you for a moment of, you're very successful from a CEO, and I know you've gone wide, but would love to. I know it's kind of a reverse interview for just a second, but your time management, is there something specific, any kind of plan specifically that you do for time management to make sure that you're not hopping around too much?
Yeah. So I'll give a little context on it too. I've received advice from great mentors as you're trying to grow something big, like you're talking about, is to stay focused and don't jump around. I love being wide because as entrepreneurs, right, we see opportunity in everything. Everything's a business. We can create this, we can create that. At one point I had a finance company, a marketing company, the retail locations, and the software company. And so you got a lot going on there, and it's hard to make something big because you're wearing so many hats, right? And so one thing I did was consolidate down and tried to focus on one business. And in going from 4 to 1, and with my time organization, I've learned how to buy back my time, right? And so a great book I'd recommend is danmartell's Buy Back Your Time.
Okay.
Uh, Fantastic. He really dives in and gets into time blocking, but really kind of advanced level, right? Like it's thinking about everything that you're doing and how to delegate those tasks out, and really make sure that you're spending time on the things that can actually move the dial. And so what I do is I really focus on time blocking. So my calendar is all color coded. The different categories are different colors. So I know exactly when I'm moving from one action to another action. I'm very deliberate in the way I time block, and I actually tell myself exactly what I'm doing. I used to just keep it very like broad, like I'm going to work on a project. Well, now it's like, no, you're going to go do your bowling lesson at this time, or you're going to do this action, or you're going to do this action. So I know I don't have to think about it. I'm just moving into the calendar. The calendar's telling me what to do. And I'm very list driven. And so everything is on a list that's getting me to my large goals. So going back to what you were talking about as far as helping people determine their path, what I do is I set 27 goals. I call it the power of 27. So I teach me and my team and my friends to set 27 goals, back into what you can work on the next 12 weeks, back into what you can do this week, and then what can you do today? And then you can only determine what you can do today based on your calendar, right? So you look at the next day, look at the calendar, take the things you want to do and organize it. And I just move into that day knowing what I'm going to do. Like the day is planned. Like if you call me on the day of, the chances are you ain't getting me. Okay. I'm busy. I have a plan and I'm very present in the moment, because I've determined that I'm going to spend my time with those people or that action so for me, time is, um, I think it's maybe a correction because when I was younger, I was not on time to anything. Right. I was like, you couldn't count on me. I said I'd be there. I wouldn't be there. I'd be later. It was just like a very bad habit. Like I would leave my house when I was supposed to be there. And at some point, you just kind of either grow up or you don't. You realize, like, look, I got to be accountable. Like, I need people to be able to trust that they can, and you certainly can't lead people, lead a team, and if you're not accountable, right? So to me, the calendar is the most important thing. And it's just the being consistent, right? That daily action of making sure that every spot's full. And I think the thing I like most about it is if you have a plan, you can 100% pivot from it.
Right.
You can say, I thought I was going to do this, but something else came along and, I'm going to go this direction today and I'm just going to move my calendar around because it's very easy because I'm in control of it. Nobody can tell me what I can or can't do with my time. But I want to have a plan because if I don't, then I just find myself, for me, I get a little anxious, right? Because I feel like I should be doing something with the time. So I'm even bad where I'll just schedule my downtime. So I know that, hey, I've completed my list for today. I don't have anything else on the calendar. I can just go hang out. I don't have to feel bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever had that problem. I mean, your
Big
to-do
time.
list is so long, right? And you just feel like, well, it's never ending. Well, It is. It's never ending because things always get added to it. So if you operate under this illusion that you're actually going to check everything off the list, then you create, I think, a negative environment for yourself, right? Like, this is my list for today, right? And that's all I got to worry about, right? So,
Yeah, I think I love that perspective. One thing that I talk to my team about all the time, I said, if you think you're going to get rid of all your problems, by staying here longer or whatever, you're not. But my perspective is you're always going to have problems. You just want to replace your current problems with bigger problems. And if I can replace my current problems with bigger problems, I think I'm winning.
I love that because the problems, they just get bigger, period.
Right.
And when things get bigger too, I feel like sometimes they just come out of nowhere, like just unexpected problems. You're like, well, I can't believe that just happened. I mean, I guess I can. It makes sense because I'm in the realm of deserving these types of problems, but I certainly wasn't expecting it today on a Wednesday. But we're going to pivot. There's that book, I might invert it. The War of Art. So
The Art of
it's
War.
the inverse.
Yeah.
The opposite. The opposite. So there's the
Oh,
art of
really?
war, but then there's the War of Art.
Oh, I
And
need to look that up. Okay.
it's a one-day read. It is such a small book.
Okay.
And so that's why I like it, because it's really simple. But the number one thing that it does is it talks about resistance. And so anytime we set a goal or we start to move in a direction, resistance is going to push back on us. The universe is going to test us and test our resolve to see if we can get through the BS. And when you actually understand that and learn it and you start to see it, when those big problems come, you look at them completely different. Like, oh, well, that means I'm definitely going the right direction here, because resistance is really trying to get me to turn, and I'm not turning. I'm coming straight through you. So your little precious problem, you can go right over here, and we'll think about you and we'll figure out how to solve you. So it's a great book. It's really cool after you read it too, because you see it. You're like, oh, that happened almost immediately after reading the book. Like, resistance is everywhere, like all the time, just trying to, just test us to see, are we going to get it done or not? How
Right.
big are your goals, and are you willing to push through them? And I think that's why you have to have big goals. You have to have a reason why, because sometimes the problem will kick you in the face. And like, if you're not like, all right, listen, the return on investment is still here. I have ambition. I have things I want to do. I'm going to keep pushing. So this problem is not a problem. So,
Right. Yeah.
all right, well, good stuff. I appreciate you taking the time to dive in deeper. I think a lot of times, I think you hit the nail on the head. People think that, hey, I can get this one quick tidbit. I'm just going to figure it all out, and I'm going to have it all. I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to have my black belt. And I think it's important for people to understand out there, hey, look, people that are out there that they might see people and say, these people are really successful. How'd they get here?
Uh-huh.
And understanding that there's trials and tribulations that we all go through. We're big on setting goals. We're big on consistent action. A lot of people out there need to hear it, right? They need to understand, like, hey, I need to pick my path. I need to pick my mentor. I need to start putting my reps in on whatever it is that I choose that I want to be successful at. So I think cutting behind the noise and just talking about goal setting is huge for everybody. So I appreciate you coming on and diving deeper.
Yeah, dude. Excited to see where things go from here and continue to build and hopefully replace my current problems with bigger problems. Yeah.
Indeed. Well, if you ever need help with the problems, you keep us posted. That's what we love to do. We love to solve them. So again, appreciate you coming on the show with Russ. It was a great episode. Love hearing about the tech. And so for everybody that's listening out there, if you guys want to hop onto the other show and take a listen to how technology can help you grow and scale your business, hop on it. And we appreciate you attending an episode of Board Meeting Wednesdays. So let's hit it.
Thank you, guys.
Board meeting Wednesday. Beyond the board.